So now here are my top 10 Doctor Who companions. Bonjour! Hello, welcome to Rob Lewis Music and Stuff with me, Rob Lewis. And following up from my show last week, this is my top 10 companions from the long-running BBC TV series Doctor Who. So to give you a quick recap, my second top 10, or my top bottom half of the top 20, I never quite know how to describe it. And number 20 was Leela, number 19 Ian Chesterton, number 18 Jamie McCrimmon, 17 was Perry, number 16 was Wilfred Mott, 15 was Ruby Sunday, number 14 was Graham O'Brien, 13 was the second Romana, 12 was the first Romana, and 11 was Jo Grant. So I'm now going to give you my top 10 and some honourable mentions as well. What's that? Thanks for watching this video. I really hope you're enjoying it. If you are, maybe you could just help out a small channel by pressing the like button, sharing it to your friends, hit the subscribe button and the alarm notification bell so you can keep up to date with my new videos, and just generally just watching them. It all helps. I'm just a small creator just trying to find my way in this YouTube metropolis. If you really want to help out as well, there's a link to my Patreon in the description and in my About section. So again, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. He always has to get his bit in. But I'm grateful. Do what he says. So, number 10. Some might argue this doesn't count, but I'm counting him because he did more than one trip with the Doctor. Captain Jack Harkness, yep, played by John Barrowman, and first appearance was in The Empty Child and was last seen in, oh wow, it was in one of the Jodie Whittaker stories, and he said, oh, about the lone Cyberman. I can't remember which actual episode it was, but he was in a few, and of course he was the main star in the Torchwood spin-off series, which I'll be talking about very, very soon. But Captain Jack Harkness, yeah, basically just sex-fueled hero that can't die. Although he could at the start, that was a power gifted to him by Rose Tyler, an unwanted gift. So yeah, number 10, Captain Jack Harkness. And number 9, Stephen Taylor from the first Doctor's adventures. He was in the Daleks Master Plan and The Chase. It was interesting because we talk about Billy Piper and Peter Capaldi and Karen Gillan having been in the show before, and Colin Baker, of course. And Lalla Ward, but Stephen Taylor, played by Peter Purves, was literally in the episode before as a different character. He played the American guy when they're at the Empire State Building. I can't think what his name was. Yankee Jake or something stupid like that. And then late in the following episode, he joins as a regular companion, Stephen Taylor, and very good. Peter Purves, probably more famous for presenting Blue Peter not long after recording these stories, but yeah, solid companion, kind of filled the Ian Chesterton shaped hole that was left when William Russell left the show. And was, of course, with the Celestial Toy Maker and with Dodo Chaplet and everything. Yeah, number 9, Stephen Taylor. Number 8, played by Mandip Gill, it is Yasmin Khan, better known as Yaz, companion to the 13th Doctor. Of course, I've already had Graham O'Brien, who is one of her companions. she's just very likeable. Started out as this sort of rookie police officer, but really came into her own. There were times she was kind of left with not a lot to do, I suppose, but isn't that true of many of the companions over the years? Certainly in Classic Who. Yeah, Yaz. I like Yaz. I like the whole Thasmin thing with the unrequited love. See, I'm not big into that unrequited love with the Doctor stuff, to be honest. It doesn't do a huge amount for me. I don't think there should never be an unrequited love, especially if it's only one person that loves the Doctor, not necessarily the other way around. It shouldn't be reciprocal. But I think there'd been a gap between the last one and this one, so it was okay. But it was, yeah, I like Yaz. At number 7, Rory Williams, played by Arthur Darvill, or was it Rory Pond? Really knew how to do the comical stuff without being a clown. That's one thing about Rory Williams. He wasn't a clown. Often the victim of the Doctor's humour, but never maliciously. And you think of what that guy went through. You know, he waited 2,000 years. I won't give you all the plot details, but he waited 2,000 years to protect his fiancée, who was incarcerated. Literally waited over 2,000 years for her to be released. And I think for I don't know how many times he died in the show either. But when you see him in The Girl Who Waited from Series 6, he really knew how to act that role. Very underrated character was Rory Williams, played by Arthur Darvill, or the Nose, as the Doctor described him. I don't think the show that there had never been a married couple in the TARDIS crew before, so that was interesting, and the Doctor sort of being a bit of a gooseberry, so that worked really well. I forgot what I was going to say before then, but it doesn't matter, because number 6, Sarah Jane Smith. Of course she was going to be in this list. Sarah Jane Smith, played by Elizabeth Sladen in the 70s and the 2000s. A character that had a couple of reappearances. One was in The Five Doctors, and again in Dimensions of Time, and then of course much later on in 2006's School Reunion with David Tennant and with K9, which is weird because Sarah Jane Smith and K9 weren't together in the classic show, but they were combined in K9 and Company, the spin-off show, and Modern Who. Excuse me. You can't fight a yawn, can you? But yeah, Sarah Jane Smith was first a companion to the third Doctor, played by John Pertwee, and was present in his regeneration into the fourth Doctor, played by Tom Baker. So she understood the concept of regeneration completely. And then, of course, seeing her again years later, and Russell T Davies giving her own spin-off show, Sarah Jane Adventures, which I will be reviewing on this channel as well in the future, which ran for 6 series, quite literally until Elizabeth Sladen sadly passed away from cancer, and that was very sad. They never finished the 6th series, so the last story, I'll talk about it more when I review the show. But yeah, it was a big loss to the Doctor Who community. Always a high ranker in people's favourite companions. She was kind of the archetypical Doctor Who companion, I think. At number 5, controversial, Clara Oswald and all the variations thereof, played by Jenna Coleman, or as she was known at first, Jenna Louise Coleman, and then dropped the Louise, so Jenna Coleman, who stayed in the show for quite some time. Her first appearance was in Asylum of the Daleks, and then the last was it Hellbent? Heaven Sent? So she was there with the 11th and the 12th Doctors. But of course, she was the Impossible Girl, so she had reacted. She'd been with all of the previous Doctors, all 12 of them, up to that point. She was there when the audience discovered the War Doctor, of course. She was like the audience surrogate for that. Absolutely, Clara Oswald. Okay, sometimes she got a little bit too self-important, I think. That's not a big problem for me, but I know it's a big problem for some fans. But I think she was able to carry it off very well, Jenna Coleman. And she's pretty too. So that's what it all comes down to, really, isn't it? I'm a man. Number 5, Clara Oswald. At number 4, we have, played by Catherine Tate, not once, not twice, but thrice in the show, Donna Noble. First appearing in the 2006 Christmas special with The Runaway Bride, and then reappearing in Partners in Crime, the Series 4 opener, and then reappearing much later in The Star Beast. The 10th Doctor and Donna companion team is very popular, and they really work well together. I love Catherine Tate when she's playing serious. Yes, she does comedy. Not everyone's cup of tea. Not everything she does lands for me, but she knows how to do comedy. But she can also do the straight stuff. In The Fires of Pompeii, when she's pleading with the Doctor to just go back and save someone from Vesuvius, it's hard to believe that that's the same woman that did the Nan character. You know, that's... But yeah, Donna Noble absolutely nailed it. So I had to pause then. I'll explain why in a second. But my third choice for Doctor Who companion, Ace. Yeah, played by Sophie Aldred, companion to the 7th Doctor. And I had to pause a second ago because I hadn't written down Ace's surname. And there's a reason why. As far as I can tell, she didn't have one. That's why I didn't write it down. Excuse me. Her real name was Dorothy in the show. But Ace, to me, was the bridge between the classic Who companion and the modern Who companion. She really was a fighter. And she wasn't your damsel in distress character. So I had to pause again. I had gas. An absolute stonk of a character. Would just face Daleks head on and hit them with a baseball bat. Real good, strong companion. And the show before it was axed did start to delve into her backstory and kind of make her the focal point of the main story, which is what obviously happened in the comeback, the revival series. So, that dog's back again. So I think Ace was kind of the template for the modern Doctor Who companion. and Sophie Aldred, yeah, that was a great role for her. I remember she used to do another TV show, kids show called Corners. I used to watch that because I had her from Doctor Who in. Yeah, so Ace. And Ace was probably the companion that I was more familiar with as a child, because that's when I was really watching it a lot. Obviously, I was first introduced to Doctor Who with the 5th Doctor and then the 6th, but the 7th was where I was watching it kind of like because I wanted to watch it, not just because it was on. So, yeah. Number 3, Ace. Now we get down to the nitty gritty. This is where people will get irate in the comments. But this is my list. It's subjective. It's not objective. If it was objective, it might be, slightly different. Sarah Jane Smith might have been number 1 if it was an objective list, but it isn't. It's subjective. It's my list. You can't tell me I'm wrong. You can just tell me you disagree. And if you do, make sure you do it in the comments. My second favourite Doctor Who companion. From New Who, Martha Jones, played by Freema Agyeman. Fantastic. Loved Martha. Took me a little bit of time to grow to her, for her to grow on me. But yeah, played by Freema Agyeman, who was seen previously in the Doomsday episode, and they wrote it into the story that it was her cousin that was in the Torchwood Tower. Yeah, Martha Jones, who was an independent woman. She was a doctor, and was first seen in the episode Smith and Jones, obviously John Smith being the Doctor's pseudonym, and her name is Jones, Martha Jones. Great character, and makes a couple of reappearances. She appears later on in series 4, alongside the 10th Doctor and Donna Noble as herself, and then very, very briefly, and of course in the Stolen Earth story as well, with the Osterhagen key, and very briefly at the end of time in the Doctor's farewell party. But what Martha Jones saved the world, basically. She spent a year, she travelled the world in this dystopian society, and I'm not going to go into it all, but she was really a worthwhile character. She really knew, she stood in her own shadow. Whether it's travelling the world and spreading the word about the Doctor, or working for UNIT later on, or my mind's gone blank, or with the Lazarus experiment with her sister and everything. I'm just getting a bit hot in here now. That's why my brain's going a bit weird now. I don't think there has been a stronger character. And of course she appeared in Torchwood as well, in Torchwood Series 2, where she was a very, very strong character, and that obviously the same character, didn't put up with any of Owen's crap. So we'll talk more about that in the Torchwood reviews. But yes, I don't think you could fault Martha Jones. And yes, there was this unrequited attraction to the Doctor, but it wasn't the focal point of the show. It didn't ruin it for me. You could tell it was that was my ankle. You could tell it was obvious that she was infatuated by him, but it didn't take over or ruin the show, and I'm grateful for that. Well, I've got one left, but before I reveal my favourite Doctor Who companion, I have to say as well, this is today. in a month's time, this list might be completely different. This is how I feel today. But I think it's time for a couple of honourable mentions, don't you? A couple of people that didn't make it on this list. Bill Potts, who was the 12th Doctor's companion, had a very, very tragic end. Played by Pearl Mackie, of course. But yeah, again, not so much the damsel in distress character, which is good. It's nice. But yeah, and the Doctor's first lesbian companion, I believe, or certainly the first that we knew of, you know. Who else am I going to have an honourable mention for? Oh, this is where the comments go mental. Someone that hasn't made it into the top 20. It's going to get close for this one. Companion that didn't make it into the top 20, but I'm going to give him an honourable mention for the contribution to the series. Rose Tyler. Played by Billie Piper. Yep, she's not in my top 20. I'm sorry. I didn't really like the character of Rose Tyler, particularly in Series 2. In Series 1 was okay. Series 2 was very sulky, whiny, lovesick. She just wasn't a very nice person in Series 2. And yes, she saved the world and everything. And this isn't a knock against Billie Piper. I've made this clear in other videos. I think Billie Piper as an actress is fantastic. I've seen her in many things. She's a really, really great actress. And she played the character of Rose great. But the character of Rose isn't a great character. She's not a very nice person. Look what she did to Mickey. Just awful how she treated Mickey Smith. So yeah, I just didn't really like her very much. And I know how important she is to the story, and she was absolutely the right companion to have at the start of the revival. Absolutely. Because she was relatable, she was just a normal woman with a crappy job and a life. She was absolutely the right character to have at that time, but I'm just not a fan. And as for the 10th Doctor and Rose love story, oh, sick of hearing about that. It's like, look at it this way, right? The 10th Doctor was what, 900 and something years old? Rose was 19. Dude. Check your hard drive. But I just didn't like that. So it's not an attack against Billie Piper, but the character Rose Tyler, just didn't like her very much. I'm very sorry if she's your favourite. I'm very sorry if you're looking forward to Billie Piper coming back in the series. There's a video about that. In fact, there's more than one. But yeah, that was my honourable mentions. Now my number one favourite companion in Doctor Who. I'm sure you've worked it out. Myself being a big Stephen Moffat fan. Amy Pond, played by Karen Gillan. Yep, love her. Thought she was so good. Had some real character development, particularly when it came to Rory and maturing and taking her life and her relationships seriously, and how when we first meet her, it's almost like Rory doesn't exist, who's her fiance. But then halfway through series 5, we see her, which was her first series, absolutely in Amy's choice when in the dream Rory dies. She says this has to be a dream because Rory can't be dead. I can't remember the exact thing, but you know what I'm saying. And then when Rory was erased from existence, she still had this sadness, but she didn't know what it was. You also had in The Girl Who Waited, which I mentioned earlier. Watch that episode and tell me Karen Gillan can't act. That episode is I think one of the finest episodes of Doctor Who there was. How she played two different characters at two different parts of their life, and they're at conflict with each other. And then with the whole having a baby, who that baby turns out to be, spoilers, and the eventual exit of the series. Again, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I really liked how Amy Pond developed as a character and became a better person as a result of her time with the Doctor and with Rory and Riversong. So yeah, that's my top 10 Doctor Who companions. Let me know what you think of my list in the comments, or write down your list in the comments. And yeah, it is a subjective list. We're all different. We've all got our own opinions, and that's mine. But yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch you later, Bill and Ted. What it is I need is like a 20-second clip that I can put at the end of each video. You know how other YouTubers do it, whether I have at the end of a video like 4 things on the screen, as you know, like and subscribe, that kind of stuff. I just need something like that, but I don't know what to put.